Boom, we're on.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today on She Persisted. I was so excited to hear about your work with Lash Binder and your podcast Clean Beauty. So can you tell me and listeners a little bit more about your product and your show?
Sure, yeah. So Clean Beauty is a movement. I'm Cassandra McClure, and I am one of the people leading the movement, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. And I started off as a model, then got into makeup artistry back in the 2000s while I was still in school.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in the clean beauty space, which is a little bit more specific, but I had some health issues a couple of years ago. Ended up
Mm-hmm.
going to Stanford to go to the doctor and found out that I had psoriasis on my head, which is like flaky, itchy skin.
Mm-hmm.
I had some vision loss, so I was prescribed glasses to see when I'm driving. And I also was diagnosed with severe allergies, which really, um, for me, I kind of thought and knew I had allergies, but it was a little bit more intense than
Mm-hmm.
that because I had to go in every week to get a shot in my arm
Gotcha.
to try to counteract my nose being clogged, my breathing being messed up. I had really like inflammation. My skin and my back would break out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they, did a back test patch thing on my back and said, "Oh, you're allergic to pollen and dust and all that." And I'm like, "Well, I
Mm-hmm.
know that, but of course they're like, get a HEPA filter, get like rid of your dog. You
Oh
should
my
have
gosh.
your aides come more often because you have all these issues." And it was a scary time, and I was doing my research. I was at the time working for the Sustainable Project, which is a .org, and my job there as a beauty director was to find brands that were more sustainable in the
Mm-hmm.
beauty space. And when I started looking at more sustainable beauty brands, I found local ones. I found, products made in the United States and smaller indie brands,
Mm-hmm.
where there's quality control, where, there's small batches of things, companies using glass, things like that. And I looked at all the big brands that I was using for my celebrity clients and my
Yeah.
brides, like YSL, Chanel, all the things you get at Bloomingdale's and Nordstrom,
Mm-hmm.
and everything from Sephora. And, I was finding that there wasn't a lot of sustainable brands. Like there were coming from overseas, being made in mass quantities.
Mm-hmm.
And I really started to look at what was in my products when I went to an event um, where I saw all these beauty products, and there was a company called Beauty Counter there, and the woman
My
was
aunt
like,
works with
"Oh,
them actually.
sorry."
My aunt works with them too. She loves it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they're a great company. So it was the first that I really ever heard of clean beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So when I asked like what that was, they were like, "Oh, well, they're just products that don't contain chemicals and things." And the woman who was talking to me about it had breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me that her doctor advised her not to use products that she was currently using from the drugstore and from Sephora that had fragrance because they could trigger
Mm-hmm.
her allergies. So that stood out to me because I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like,
Same thing. Yeah.
and so I went home and I looked at all my products that contained, that I thought contained fragrance, and they
Mm-hmm.
did. But then I also started digging a little bit deeper because I wasn't just looking at my makeup anymore. I was also looking at my laundry detergent,
Yeah.
my shampoo, my hand soap, the dog wash I was washing my
Mm-hmm.
pet with, just kind of everything else that contained any sort of chemical to clean my windows. I was using Windex, and
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't realize what I was exposing myself to day in and day out as I got into the shower and had my body wash and got out and used my lotion. I was just kind
Mm-hmm.
of, not realizing that the allergies would, that were triggered from that. And so I got everything together, put it all in a big cardboard box. I shared kind of what I was going through, and I had a lot of people reach out and ask me like how it was going. And within 48 hours, I saw a huge difference in my skin, in my
Mhm.
breathing, in my overall well-being. And in 72 hours, in 3 days, I saw a massive shift, a complete turnaround from what I was dealing with before. And I never used a psoriasis medication for my head ever again. I
Mhm.
never had to go back in for a shot, and I was scheduled to go back in for another 11 months of shots.
Oh my gosh.
I, my vision loss is a permanent thing that I'm going to have because of the mascaras and the eyeliners and the products that I was using on my eyes, and probably the chemicals that I was exposed to much more than the average person. If you kind of look at hairstylists or makeup artists,
Mhm.
were around the products a lot more.
Constantly, yeah.
And so I definitely feel that I know that, looking at my family, they didn't have those issues and I did. And so it's like, well, what was that? What was that
Yeah,
thing
what's
that
the
set
missing
me
piece?
apart?
Yeah.
And I wish my doctors would have realized it. I wish I would have known sooner. But
Mhm.
now I'm able to advocate to other women and help them understand that even though you might not have an issue right now, it's kind of like cancer. It can creep up on you, and one day it can ruin your life. You
Mhm.
can lose your sense of smell. You can not be able to have children. You can have really bad hormone disruption. Your period can go irregular. You can have
Mhm.
all sorts of issues. You could have breathing problems. You can have acne. You
Yeah.
and I can go on and on. And I think it's just so important to use products that are cleaner, that don't contain synthetic fragrance. That's
Mhm.
the really big thing for me that I have found. And I just think it's so, so important. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool that you were able to find that and help your own personal health journey. That's really inspiring. So, I wanted to ask you about your initiative to donate lashes to chemo patients every time someone buys lash binder. So, what inspired you to do that and kind of where has that taken you?
so I launched Lash Binder in March of last year. So it's been a little over a year, and I really was kind of out of work when I announced that I was working as a clean beauty artist. It was really not accepted still that as a makeup artist, you're really only using clean products. A lot of people think
Mm.
clean don't work. So I really had to get through that and try so many products that didn't actually really work that well. They didn't
Yeah.
last, they didn't perform, they smudged, they didn't really. They just didn't live up to my expectations as an artist that needs products to last on a bride
Mhm.
way longer after she walks down the aisle.
Yeah.
So I also started looking at what other products and what other things I heard a lot. So when I was stopping my work and I started
Mhm.
my podcast, I had more time at home. I really wanted to create something, but I wasn't sure what. And so I started going back through my logs and going back through and reliving those moments at the weddings and at my model shoots and
Mhm.
runway shows. And one thing that I had realized was that a lot of women had issues putting lashes on. So I started developing a tool called Lash Binder, and it makes eyelash application for strips easier, faster, and safer.
Mhm.
And what I noticed with tweezers was it's unsafe. You kind of have to
Yeah.
learn to like hold it closed and put it on and then release, which just seems like a lot to do to put lashes on. The danger there is also it's a sharp metal object
Right
near your
near your
eye.
eye.
Doesn't hold the entire lash closed. So um, this is the package for it, and one of our little bags we had made by a local designer. And inside the Pro Kit has the scissors. They have like a soft tip at the end.
Mhm.
We have glue, and then we have the lash tool itself. And so how it really works is Lash Binder is able to, it comes with a little insert in case you need to go back and realize, like, look at how it's
Mhm.
done. It has step-by-step instructions, and the first thing you do is measure the lash. So you take whatever lashes, let me see if I have some here. uh, I do have these. These are our like we created some limited edition vegan cruelty-free lashes.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't realize that lashes are made from mink, a lot of them, and
Oh my
mink
gosh.
are brushed like through
Yeah.
their whole life and kept in a little cage. And so they say they're not cruelty-free, but I mean, they torture the animals like their entire life until they die.
Yeah.
And then silk is created when you boil the worms alive
Hmm.
to extract the silk. So we wanted to create a synthetic line with another local artist. So you just you I just wanted to make sure that it was easier. So to make it easier, we wanted you to be able to measure the lash inside the binder. And so then you can cut it down to the size of your eye. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't even realize that not all lashes are,
Yeah.
long enough or short enough for your eye. So you want to essentially cut them down. And then once you have the length down, we have glue that has a tip at the end so that you can actually be really precise with the glue and not have to squeeze it out and get it all
Like
over. I
on
know
your
that
hand.
was
Yeah.
an issue as well. And then we create it so that the tool lays upside down, hands free. So, another issue that I saw happen a lot is you'd put the glue on and then the girls would go trying to put the lash on right away,
And you gotta
but
wait
you
for it to
need to
get
wait.
tacky. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to wait like 30 or 40, maybe even a minute, depending on
Hmm.
your climate. And so we want to let you put it down so that you can use maybe even two at a
Hmm.
time. So while one's drying and getting ready, you can get the other one ready. And every time we put these on our website, they sell out. We created little mirrors to kind of uh, to that light up.
Oh.
And yeah, so really cute little light up mirror, and
Hmm.
it's a 3x, so you're able to see really really close and hold it, and then you just wiggle and then you release, and now you have lashes on. So it's a
That's
really
amazing.
great easy tool to use, and you can use the ends to adjust and like put the lashes wherever they need to be. But I already have my lashes on today, so I'll take this one off. But essentially, that's how it works. So it's a really great little tool. We were approached by Shark Tank like early on, and it was such an honor to even be recognized. And
Yeah.
also, launching on Amazon was a big deal for us. And
Hmm.
yeah, I did everything from the branding and the logo to the design and the box and everything myself. And so it was a
Hmm.
really big accomplishment. And when I was starting to work with cancer patients, so I got asked to go by a local oncologist
Hmm.
to bring my lash binder and my lashes in to the El Camino Hospital in Mountain View, California. And I had an event where I had applied lashes and showed them how to use them.
Hmm.
And when I got there, I realized that they didn't actually have eyelashes at all, because when
Hmm.
you go through chemo, you lose your eyelashes as well as the hair on your head,
Hmm.
and often your eyebrows as well. And so I brought in my makeup to kind of empower them a little bit
Totally.
to feel a little bit more normal
Hmm.
and make them feel beautiful again. And so we absolutely had such an incredible turnout and a great day. And I really wanted to, they all told me that they were having trouble with money, that it was an issue
Yeah, it's
that
super expensive for treatment for sure.
yeah, and as they're pulling their credit cards out and like buying, lash binders and starter packs and everything, I felt bad. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to be able to give back to them. So we created a buy one, give one campaign, and the campaign turned into a permanent um, part of our company, because every time now that you buy a lash binder, one goes to a chemo patient, someone
That's
that
amazing.
is struggling or going through chemo, or who's lost their lashes permanently,
Hmm.
or has really fine, thin, brittle lashes.
Yeah.
And it feels so good to be able to give the tools to them and also provide the education right there in the hospitals
Yeah.
where they're struggling and going into the cancer center for their treatment. So that's something that I really enjoy doing, and is just something I I will just always do now because
Yeah.
I was enlightened. I didn't realize that. And that's also, I think, a little bit about awareness. And we want people to know that, women also have to deal with that. And
Hmm.
the more education we have around how to put lashes on safer and faster and just like with less problems, like the better their life will be. And so it's been really beautiful.
Yeah, no, my grandmother struggled with pancreatic cancer, gosh, like over 5 years ago now. And she was the same way. That in between period when she was losing her hair before she got in her wig, having her makeup every day and having that routine that kept her feeling like herself and feeling confident and normal, that was definitely a staple for her. So that's amazing. And you also just launched the Clean Beauty Kit. Congratulations. So can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, so the kit is the first celebrity makeup artist approved subscription. We're really excited. We just launched it on the 4th of July, and it's essentially a subscription box
Mm-hmm.
that you can try full-size products for about $50 a month with over 200 $300 in product each
Mm-hmm.
month and contains all different kinds of things that make sense for whatever month it is.
Yeah.
July, this month, we have some sunscreen. I can show you a little bit. So we have several founders. We feature woman owned brands that are made in the United States.
I love
So
it.
this month we have a wearable mask,
Oh.
face mask, really cool. This is a local Bay Area woman who created this. We
Oh.
also have a sparkling blend drink inside. We have Olita. She's based in Marin. She
Mm-hmm.
has a tinted sunscreen. So this is a sun stick. Really fun product. We have a makeup brush. We have a refreshing toner.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're hot in the sun, we have an apricot scrub this month. We have lip liner, gloss, and lipstick, and a body butter, a face mask blend, a serum, and $102 oil.
Oh my
So
goodness.
all of this in this month's kit is valued at around 250.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is our limited edition collection, so we only have 50 of this set, and we're almost sold out. So it was a really successful launch. We're really having fun. And so how it works is really the brands reach out, send me their product for review,
Mm-hmm.
and if it makes it to the next stage, then they go into a box. And I
Yeah.
really love it because we've been featuring a lot of underrepresented businesses and women of color, black women-owned businesses. We have three this month, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just brands that I'd never heard about, and I really thought, they're underrepresented. Like a lot
Yeah.
of these brands are not in stores. They're not in any boutiques. They just really have their online storefront. And
Mm-hmm.
when I launched Lash Binder, I understood that, and I wanted to get into a box so bad, and it was really expensive. And I really wanted to make it accessible for brands that are small to be able to get into a box and not have to pay like a really hefty fee.
Yeah.
And that was the deal breaker for me. And so I was like, how can I make this better for people in the future? And how
Mm-hmm.
can I, really make it accessible, and also for the people that are trying or beginning their clean beauty journey. Like I really, really wanted them to be able to experience products more affordably because not everyone has, $300 a month to spend on new products to try.
Yeah.
And starting out my clean beauty journey specifically, I definitely wish I had a box like this because
Yeah.
beforehand I had subscriptions to every box, Boxy
Mm-hmm.
Charm, Ipsy, Birchbox. But what would
Mm-hmm.
happen is I was continuing to get products with fragrance, with PEGs, with phthalates, with
Mm-hmm.
parabens, and my skin was breaking out again. And I just felt like I couldn't use the products and I didn't want to gift them to people that I loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to figure out what was out there. And the other boxes that I found were like like two or four times a year, like seasonal boxes, and
Yeah.
I really wanted more products than just once a season.
Hmm.
And they were a lot of sample size things, and I wanted
Hmm.
full size products. So I kind of brought everything into what I was hoping for and brought it into a kit of
Hmm.
my own. So we're really excited to be doing that. And thank you so much for highlighting me on your
Of
show and
course.
interviewing me and just and asking me all these great questions because it's been a long time coming. It's been such a journey, and I love that you're from the Bay Area.
Yeah, no, it's amazing and it's so cool like to hear about how you went through your own journey. You realized this issue, which was that products were not clean. You're able to educate your listeners on your podcast, people that subscribe to your brand, and then also bring them these products monthly so that it's so easy for them. Like that's incredible. I love it.
Thank you so much. So everything has its own website. So cleanbeautykit.com if you want to check out the box, check out our ethos, our clean beauty code, anything like that. We have Clean Beauty Con is
Hmm.
my monthly conference.
That's
So our
awesome.
conference is now a virtual summit because of everything that happened with
Yes.
COVID.
Hmm.
So for the last 20 weeks or so, we've been meeting digitally, which has
Hmm.
been really great for everybody. And our next one is on the 10th. So this Friday,
Hmm.
I'd love for you to come and meet all the founders that are inside this
Yeah.
kit. There's a lot of local women, probably some people that you should interview for your show.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
awesome.
I have to connect you with them because they're so great. And they're each presenting. They're going to be sharing education about ingredients, about how to start a brand, about being an entrepreneur, like really amazing topics. And
Hmm.
so we have tickets available on cleanbeautycon.com for anyone who wants to join in and really join our community, the clean beauty movement, like I was
Yeah.
saying. And so that's a great place to go. And for anyone who's looking to get in touch with me personally or find out more about what I'm doing, you can go to CassandraMcClure.com. And then for Lashbinder, Lashbinder has its own website too, at lashbinder.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. My last question is about the podcast, Clean Beauty Podcast. What do you do on
That too.
there? Yes. Will you tell me a little bit more about that so listeners can go find that after they
Sure.
listen to this episode?
Well, I feel like your listeners definitely can relate to a podcast and they,
Yeah.
listen. So that's always a good thing. I started my podcast first. So in November 2018, I launched the
Hmm.
Clean Beauty podcast. Like when I was saying, I was going through my health journey, I was trying to figure out more about clean beauty. And I did a quick search looking on my podcast app to see if there was a clean beauty
Yeah.
podcast section, and there wasn't. And so my fiance suggested that I start a podcast, and
Hmm.
it was, yeah, I've come so far. It's so great to like upgrade your equipment and continue to
Yeah.
move on. And I've interviewed over 50 brand founders from around the world, but I really love my like on-site interviews. I've
Hmm.
had people like Liza Koshy and the Catan sisters, and I've gotten to go to such amazing expos and beauty con and a
Hmm.
lot of really cool things, and go on the red carpet and do on-site interviews as well as now a lot of digital interviews.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of content on cleanbeautypodcast.com where we interview founders about clean and sustainable beauty. I think it's so important to look at both and really look at where your products are coming from, and
Hmm.
that's why I wanted a box to highlight women owned clean brands that are local, like USA made. I think a
Hmm.
lot of us, like I said, don't realize that our products are made overseas in mass
Yeah.
productions and factories that aren't being regulated. So to be able to feel connected to your product and buying a product that really resonates with you, that it's a local woman or like a young woman who's starting her business, feels so much better. Like it's kind of like
Hmm.
shopping on Etsy. You feel like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
supporting this like small business owner.
Hmm.
So that's kind of a lot of the brands that I work with. Those are the kind I interview, the indie kind of brands that you might
Hmm.
not have heard of. We've had some big ones on too, but I really like to work with women that are in that entrepreneur state and still like growing their business. So
Yeah.
it's been really great, and it's been great to watch them all really grow. And so yeah, you can listen to us on any podcast platform, and it's just Clean Beauty, so you can check it out. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love what you said about looking on the podcast app for the clean beauty like centered podcast, and it just wasn't anything. I remember the same thing when I started my show, which was I wanted a teenager who had like been through a mental health journey and had a really positive approach about it. And I couldn't find that. I was like, I see people who are still struggling or in the midst of it, but no one that was leading interviews with people who could educate. And so I was the same way. I was like, maybe there's room for this and that I can do this as well. So I can definitely relate to you on that.
Yeah. It's it's tough when you're trying to find information and trying to find that relatable thing when you're whatever you're going through and like to
Mm-hmm.
not find it. And sometimes, and sometimes you might even it might come from the opposite where like you're trying to get into something but you're being denied access.
Yeah.
And like for me, that has happened to me so many times, and you kind of make your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just if you don't aren't allowed a seat at the table, you build your own table. And like that's what I've loved doing, and just like empowering other women to, yeah, so that's why I do coaching and consulting, because it's like I love bringing out like the best in women. And just, we all go through hard mental times. This past week has probably been the hardest for me, like
Mm-hmm.
just with COVID, because Santa Clara has been shut down
Yeah.
since the very beginning, like over 3 months, like, and just not leaving the house. And even though I've made my house into such a sanctuary, it's
Mm-hmm.
still really hard to just deal with.
Yeah.
And I know that when I stay busy, I keep it off my mind,
Mm-hmm.
but there comes a time where you're just like, I cannot work anymore. I'm so over it. Like,
Yeah.
consistency
Exactly.
times is just becomes boring.
Yeah.
And so I know that a lot of people are dealing with mental issues right now, because I don't usually get depressed, but it's been a little heavy this week, especially with friends and family that are passing and people getting sick. It's just
Mm-hmm.
really hard.
Yeah, and especially it was just the fourth. I think about where I was last year and where so many people were, which was celebrating with friends, celebrating with family. Everyone was gathering, and you look at now and we're all inside. It's hard to connect with people, and it does feel very isolating. And so it's definitely a spot that people can use a lot of validation on right now. And that's what I try to do with the podcast as well.
Yeah, well, again, I appreciate you so much, and I love that we were able to connect and
Me too.
get together. And once the con is back on in person, you have to come.
Of
I will
course.
get you a ticket. And I want to send you a lash binder. And if you want to do a giveaway for your listeners, I'd love to
Yeah,
send a lash binder for them so you can set that up.
that would be so
And
fun.
yeah, and I'd also love to give them a code. So if you want it to be your name or your podcast, I can give 15% off if they want to shop at lashbinder
Yeah,
.com. So
that would
whatever
be
you want the code
awesome.
to be.
Yeah, I guess she persisted would be perfect.
She persisted. Okay.
Yeah,
So you guys can use She Persisted and get 15% off lashbinder.com.
and stay tuned for the giveaway so you can win a lash binder for yourself.
Yay!
It's so exciting. Well, thank you again. Not a lot of people are willing to take a chance on a teenager who's doing a podcast, and it's so cool that you're from the Bay Area. So I really, really appreciate you coming down and sharing your brand and your story, and it's really inspiring. So thank you so much.
Yeah. So, side note, there's a podcast called Girl with
Mm-hmm.
like an exclamation mark, and Amaya, who runs that, lives over on the other side of the coast. She lives in like Jersey, but she's
Mm-hmm.
actually our social media manager for Clean Beauty Con.
Mm-hmm.
And she interviewed me, found me through Podcorn, and
Yeah,
we stayed in touch and kept talking. And now she also is an advocate for clean beauty. And it's funny, she wanted to sign up for Beauty Counter, but you have to be 18.
yeah,
And she's on our clean beauty team. So like
that's
I
awesome.
think, there it doesn't matter how old you are, like if you want to do something, you can do it. And so I didn't even realize that you were younger, but I don't really care.
Yeah,
But absolutely, like it doesn't matter how old you are, like you're professional, you were on time, you were early. Actually, I was the one getting my stuff together.
totally
So
good.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to help you or work with you at any times or give you referrals. So let me
Oh, you're
know
so sweet.
how I can help. And super excited to meet you one day in person.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's such a small world in the Bay Area. There's so many people that are more focused in LA or sometimes on the East Coast, but it's awesome that you're from the Bay Area.
Yes, girl. Well, keep it up. I love your show. I subscribed and left a
Thank
review,
you.
so you should be seeing that soon.
Oh,
And
sounds good.
I'm excited to hear what you do next. So keep it up.
Yeah. So now that we've like finished recording, I'll go ahead and do an intro after, and then I'll also